What's up, world? So I can't believe this is going to be my last Demon Hunter seasonal guide before Diablo 4 drops, but don't worry, D3 will still be getting content and I will still cover those as it happens. I just want to say thank you for supporting me on this journey, supporting my channel, supporting my Twitch, and allowing me to do the things that I do. For season 28 with the altars, I'm going to be covering every single Demon Hunter build. So to make this short and not take up too much of your time, let's just go ahead and dive right on in. So Demon Hunters lucked out for the starting set because we get the GoD6 Demon Hunter as our first set for the season. And that's awesome because not only did GoD6 get buffed, but it's also one of the best starting sets in the game. So let's kind of just go over this real quick. We got the 2-piece bonus. Basically, you get momentum stacks with a primary skill. Your primary skills deal 10% increased damage per second of momentum, so you get 20 stacks of that. It's actually a really good 2-piece bonus to start off with. It means you're going to actually be able to deal damage the moment that you actually get your first 2-piece up. 4-piece is very important. It gives you movement speed, damage reduction, as well as allows your primary to shoot from your strafe when you're strafing around, so it kind of is the clutch of the build. And then the 6-piece is your primaries deals 27,500% more damage. So really good starting set here. You want to complement this with, eventually with the Hunter's Wrath belt, the Wraps of Clarity, which hopefully maybe you'll get while you're leveling up earlier on, because it is one of those items you can get pretty early. If you get a knife series, of course, wear that. If not, don't be afraid to wear any particular weapons, because this build in general isn't necessarily confined to a particular weapon, because there is no specific legendary weapon for GoD6. So if you get a any 2-hand expo that has good damage on it, use it. Any hand crossbows, for the most part, use it. Of course, you would want a Dine or a Fortress, or maybe not really Valos this early because you're not pushing, but you also want to save one. If you get a nice series, that's fine. But whatever you don't get here, just put in the cube for your weapon slot. So Dawn is very important, so try to get that. Death Diggers, of course, because that's just more damage. And then eventually Royal Ring, so therefore you can run either Augils or Mantle of Channeling, or you can just go with COE if you find one of those there. But that's pretty much the basics, of it, and that's going to get you started to be able to get you well on your way to speed farming. When it comes to your skills, you just kind of take whatever feels good to you. Devouring Arrow is obviously a must, just because that's the best skill to use, especially earlier on. Drifting Shadow, because that's going to give you the movement speed, you can move around. Past that point, it's going to be up to you. Dark Heart Vengeance is going to be a must because, of course, damage reduction. But in terms of the other couple of skills just earlier on, you kind of can play around with whatever you want as you're getting your supporting legendaries. Passives, you're pretty much going to want movement speed because you want to try to get anywhere that you possibly can as fast as you can, and of course to supplement it with some damage skills. Again, kind of up to you, whatever works for you early game, to make sure that you can play the build smoothly as you're leveling up and getting the pieces that you need. The GoD6 set is one of the most popular and most played set on Demon Hunter since its introduction, and for good reason. It's fast, easy to play, and who doesn't like a good Netflix and spin option for farming gear and Paragon? All one has to do is keep up the momentum mechanic itself, and the build practically plays on its own. This is a build that is more single target focused than anything, but does rather well for speeds due to the sheer number of arrows proccing when strafing. With many different gearing options for both speed farming and pushing, you have the ability to switch things up in case things get a little stale. On gear, you'd want to focus on elemental damage, skill damage, average damage on rings, and enough cooldown to keep perma vengeance. For pushing, you want to add area damage wherever you can without sacrificing the other important stats. You will be playing this build for the majority of your time as Demon Hunter this season, especially with the new buff that happened. GoD6 has 2 different T16 builds, one with Hungry and Arrow and the other with Bolas. Hungry and Arrow has traditionally been the go-to, as you can easily add Echoing Fury, and Shadow Shot does well with clearing the screen. Bolas are just as effective, especially with the new GoD6 buff, and its altar powers that we can also use Echoing Fury in the cube with this setup as we couldn't do before. Personally, I've always preferred Bolas for the wide AoE, and it's just visually more appealing to watch things blow up. For GR speeds, you have a lot of different ways to approach this. You can go all guilds, which will give you the best results overall, or you can go guardians for that early season boost of power and defense. Your weapon combinations are also diverse as well. Playing solo, the two-hand X bow, granted you're willing to dodge a bit for square sub time, can give you more oomph and a better breakpoint. Fortress allows for super easy square sub time for those that would rather Netflix and spin and not have to worry about much of anything. Once you're geared up a bit with some augments, consider using From the Shadows Vengeance rune for some style points and easier uptime on squirts. Playing in groups, a dual wield setup will yield better results due to the extra crit chance from the other classes that the buffs provide. You'd also want to remove Tego for another big damage gem, as it is additive to Odyssey's End on a ZDH and won't provide you with much of a boost. Quivers are really hard to roll for GoD6, so taking that into consideration when choosing which variation you want to play. For pushing, Volas is a great pick and very popular for an easy dual wield setup for the extra effects and guaranteeing a consistent breakpoint. Two-hand X bow and quiver is also a good pick for its beefy damage. One can opt for the Odyssey's End for maximum damage, though it is much less popular due to the amount of work required to maintain its buff. Figured I'd include ZDH here as the core of the support build is based on the God build. Here you have both the speed GR and push GR variants, with the new variant thanks to Natalya's rework. I suspect that the God/Natalya support version would not be played as much, as it's primarily useful for Natalya's, but it is a neat version that allows for ZDH to pixel pull, something we haven't been able to do ever on this class. Yui Multishot is back. Well, mostly. While it might not have any roles next season, the buff allows it to be a great solo speed farmer. This is my favorite Demon Hunter set by far, and I'm happy to see it get at least some love, though I would have liked to see a little bit more of a buff to it. Regardless, the Season 28 altar opens up several new variations, ones that I've already did a video on prior to this one, so there's a lot of fun to be had here. For speeds, you'd want to focus on cooldown reduction and attack speed. For pushing, you want area damage everywhere you can get. It's a very heavy AoE skill build due to its wide cone. Here you have somewhat of a standard setup which focuses on dodging a bit with some stutter stepping. The idea here is to maximize damage for easy clearing with this wide AoE. The setup to the right of that is a more entertaining setup that allows one to be very nimble and attack extremely fast. It is also considerably easier to play. Yui will do well in solo speeds as an alternative for those who may not want to spend to win on GoD6 Demon Hunter. Nothing here really changes with the standard setup. The physical rune is usually the choice here, as it does better in a push scenario when there's lots of mobs to pull through the rift. The other variations here are brand new and geared more towards veteran players looking to squeeze every ounce of damage possible. This is only possible due to the hatred on crit node in the Season 28 altar, which means we do not need to run Seath rune on Vengeance anymore and can just use Darkheart. This will be a fun build to push with. For the new season, Natalya's got a major rework and is now a build centered around spike traps. I spent over 16 hours testing this thoroughly, and sadly, I'm not really impressed with the output nor its playstyle, especially for a rework. This build is designed as an up close and personal style of play, using cow traps as a means to boost your damage of spike traps while providing a pixel pull when you detonate a set of spike traps. You run in, lay your spike traps in front of you, 10 of them, so you press the button 5 times, drop your cow trap so enemies pixel towards you, and detonate the traps with either a spender or a generator, granted you pick the custom trigger rune, for a chain detonating effect. It's rather clunky, non-Demon Hunter-like approach, and what would have been the best, most intuitive rune to use with lightning doesn't work with the 6-piece stacking bonus nor the cow traps pull. You need a ton of area damage to even make this work. I wish I could say more positive things about it, But as it stands, this rework of a build doesn't have a role, as it cannot speed farm, weaken the Marauder sentry for main leaderboard pushing, and overall not fun to play. I cannot honestly recommend this to anyone in its current state. If they do some sort of stealth buff before the season hits, I would do a separate guide on Natalya's later. Nats for pushing has two variants. One requires a spinner to detonate and the other one requires a generator. Swap out a few things to cater to how you want to play this. Since this build has terrible sustain and recovery, and Shadow Power Gloom for whatever reason is pretty bad with the build's playstyle, it is an absolute must that you use Smokescreen Healing Vapors to have some sort of way of recovering health and surviving. Demon Hunter's pet build is still relevant for next season. No changes were made to the set, so I'll keep it simple. For speeds, you want cooldown reduction to plant sentries more often. For pushes, you want both cooldown reduction and area damage. It's a good all around and Demon Hunter's strongest solo push set. So if the main leaderboards is your goal next season, you'll want to gear up a Marauder Demon Hunter. Despite the sentry cooldown, this set still does well for GR speeds. It is, however, better to elite hunt with this so you can hoard and drop 3 sentries at once for a quote-unquote head start and clear the entire room. This really helps with the clunkiness feeling that is normally associated with Marauder. Both multi-shot and cluster arrow works here. Like the speed variants, both multi-shot and cluster arrow work here. Cluster arrow will be immensely more popular due to the ease of use, but both skills are roughly on the same tier for damage. With the Hatred on crit node for season 28, multi-shot gets a slight boost here as resource was always an issue. Pull the entire rift and blast everything down with area damage. Last and least is the Shadow set. Without the season 27 powers, this set falls off drastically. While it's not a terrible set in general, relative to the other Demon Hunter sets, it is the weakest set overall. Not to mention, so many people played Shadows last season that I don't really see many people bothering with it in its current state this season. It is still a single target beast, so you can RGK for a group that needs one if there are no other options available. Stack attack speed for best results. Here you have two variations of Shadow for pushing and their playstyle differs greatly from each other. One is a ranged build and the other is melee elite sniping. Both work just as well in a matter of preference. Both fire and cold rune works for both setups. And that's it. Let me know what you think of the video. Please comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content that you saw. And as always, till next time.